Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, the North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.
Welcome to Prairie Mosaic, a patchwork of stories about the arts, culture, and history in our region.
Hi, I'm Bob Dambeck.
And I'm Barb Gravel. On this edition, we'll meet a stained glass artist, investigate the implications of what and where we eat, and listen to a group of cousins in the band Chrome perform their own blend of original music. As the Nonpartisan League came to power in 1916, one of the rising stars was Attorney General William Langer, better known as Wild Bill. Despite being one of the most scandal-ridden figures in North Dakota history, Langer served as a popular Attorney General, Governor, and finally U.S. Senator until his death in 1959.
Bill Langer becomes a hero to so many people because of his very unorthodox and extreme ways of doing things and getting himself elected.
He really has an important historical reference, aside from his personality, which is what people remember and should, because he really was Wild Bill Langer in many ways, but not the way people would think.
You can be certain, as long as I'm in the Senate, I will be in there battling for North Dakota and for the United States of America.
He was not crooked. I've had lots of experiences in Chicago politics to attest to what that is. And he was not a womanizer. He loved his wife, Lydia, and she knew it. He was wild only in his style of fighting for the underdog.
Bill Langer had his own way of connecting with the people. He'd get up in the back of a box of a grain truck parked down on Main Street and deliver a great stem-winding speech. And if you ever see footage of Bill Langer, you can put some signal flags in his arms and he looks like he's doing a semaphore, that great big, rousing type, fisticuffs and so on. That's how they spoke, the great stump speakers of that era. He had a very folksy way wherever you would travel in the state. He was well known. Hey, if you're ever in Bismarck, stop by the governor's mansion. Lydia will pour you a cup of coffee. But he had a way to really connect with people. And the fact that he could slip into German was very powerful and motivating to a number of the Germans in the state as well. Very, very mobilizing to get them involved in politics.
His grandfather had emigrated from what today would be Moravia, and so therefore he's an ethnic German by definition. He read German and he spoke in that language so that in working the political hustings, he could work it in the German language and be fully understood and appreciated. If you're speaking in the German language at that time to an audience, some of whom speak only German, you're going to get credit even if you're boring. Well, he's from Castleton. His father was a farmer and a banker. They knew they were being cheated by the big banks. It was the Wall Street, the railroads, and the grain merchants. And he did something about it. I think his skill was as a trial lawyer. He had a short career at UND because he finished the degree. It was a 2-year degree for a law degree. He went east. That's where the enemy grew up, the Wall Street people. Bill Langer went to Columbia, New York City, for 4 years there and finished his degree. And that's where he met his wife, Lydia. Her father was one of the architects of the Metropolitan Opera House of New York. And so they were high society, and Bill Langer was this German Catholic boy from North Dakota. She was the niece of Elizabeth Cady Stanton. She had a kind of social conscience that a niece of Elizabeth Cady Stanton would be expected to have. That was part of his attraction to her. However, her family was horrified, especially her mother, who would not let him enter the house. And his parents were appalled too, because she was Protestant, she was Presbyterian, and they were Catholic, and he was proposing to marry out of the church. From the time they met in 1910 till the time they married was 8 years, 1918. And I like to say that Bill Langer never waited for anybody else in his life, except he waited for Lydia. They are corresponding in this period She is observing the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire in 1911 while she is witnessing some of the horrors of basically, we would call it slave labor today. He is jumping into the formation of the Nonpartisan League. I don't think Bill Langer is really a typical North Dakotan. He's in your face. He fought for these really noble issues. If the issue mattered and if it was economic justice, if he was a minority one, and sometimes he was, he didn't care.
The voters of North Dakota kind of collectively had the attitude, Bill Langer is a son of a bitch, but he's our son of a bitch.
But you know, from that day to this, during all these years, the farmers raising Durham have been getting that premium.
One of my first years of teaching, I had the privilege of having one of my oldest students I ever had. I had an 88-year-old woman from here in Williston that attended my class, and my North Dakota history class, and she knew full well. I remember Bill Langer, and she would tell the story, and it was wonderful to see the kids in the class hearing this woman talk about Bill Langer.
Looking at his life work, the fact is some politicians start out as fighting for the underdog but become less interested. Well, he continued this and he added lists of underdogs, which by the time he was finished included blacks, Jews, Palestinians, as well as his fellow Germans, which include people of the German language from all over the map that he defended and worked to help from the U.S. Senate. Well, he was committed as a progressive, as a son of North Dakota, as a champion of this movement for economic justice. But he was their guy. I had a wonderful conversation with Jim Abourezk, the former senator from South Dakota, and we talked about Langer. And he said, the thing I loved about Bill Langer is he just didn't give a damn. In other words, he didn't give a damn what people thought if he thought he was doing the right thing.
Christy Becker of Cold Spring, Minnesota, is a stained glass artist. As a child attending Mass, the stained glass windows mesmerized her with dazzling colors and light. Now Christy uses that inspiration to create beautiful works of art for everyone to enjoy.
Somebody once referred to stained glass as painting with light, and that's really what you are doing. My mom is an artist, and she did a lot of different jobs while I was growing up. She lettered signs, she drew portraits, she painted pictures, and I always knew I wanted to be an artist just like her. I watched her, and I learned from her. I started drawing portraits in high school. I went to the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, got my Bachelor of Fine Arts in Industrial Design. I used to do commissioned graphite portraits for people and carried that over into diamond etching on granite. The reason why I was so intrigued and really grabbed onto the glass painting is because we went to Mass 3 times a week. I stared at those stained glass windows, thinking about who the artist was who designed those windows, why they chose those colors, why they did this, why they didn't do that. The sunlight would come through the windows so beautifully. I've always wanted to just spread that light that I saw. Terahar Stained Glass Studio is the studio that I work with in Minnesota. I stopped by one day to get a stained glass window for my parents. I started talking with Gary. I brought in my portfolio and he liked what he saw and said he needed a painter, and I had never painted on glass before, had no idea what it entailed. I delved right into the painting and learned a lot on my own. Gary knew some things enough for me to get started. I've been painting for him for about 14 years. I'm still trying to perfect my recipe for colors and process and layering, what works best for me for my style. The way it works with us is Gary talks with whoever it is who contacts him. He discusses with me a little bit about where the church is, what they're looking for, how many windows it may be. I do sometimes incorporate the architectural aspects of the church with the window. If they have existing stained glass windows, do they want those to coordinate with the new windows? Gary and I go to the church or the parish and meet with the people. We listen to what they are thinking. Do you want them traditional? Do you want them contemporary? Do you want movement? Do you want it to be inspiring? Do you want images? Do you want symbols? I write down what words they come up with. We want it to be peaceful. We want it to be meditative. We want it to glow or be inspiring, spiritual, nature. They might want something more didactic with a story or Jesus and the apostles. Sometimes I'll do a great design that I just love, but I'll add color to it and it just doesn't look the same to me. So I learned how to design a good window with lines and line work, always thinking of color as I'm designing it. It makes a big difference. Once the illustration is okayed, I get the dimensions of the window, put that in my computer, enlarge my illustration to that size, and print out 8.5 by 11 sheets, and then I tape all those pieces of paper together. I have a drawing laying on my table at home. I put my piece of glass on my drawing and do all my trace lines. Those are done with a calligraphy pen, and I use oil, and the paint is actually a powder, and you mix it with a palette knife. I get all my thin lines done, and then I fire it. After it's fired, I turn my piece over and I do just a flat mat on the back with water base and the paint, and then it dries and it turns back to powder. So then what you do is you lift the powder off the glass. I usually do stippling, so I have some really soft brushes that I will stipple onto the face and it pulls the powder off. I would fire it after that first mat. My second mat on the back side, I would do all shadowed areas, and then I fire it again. And then I flip it over to my front side and start working on that. And then I fire it, and then I do all my shadowing. I do 2 layers on the back, 4 layers on the front. And I just love adding that eye color because I'm working with the face for so long. You just can't wait to put that color in the eyes because it really is what makes them look alive. I want to be able to inspire them like I was inspired growing up by so many beautiful stained glass windows. I want them to be able to look at the windows I design and see something different every time or feel different. If they're not in a good place, to be able to look at the window and stare at it and meditate on it and to feel good after looking at it and seeing something beautiful. My art is what makes me tick. My desire to do art, my passion for art, and my faith. Faith in God, but also faith in myself. I believe in myself. I know I've been given a gift. Terre Stained Glass gave me a great opportunity to be able to share that because I can share my faith, I can share the light, I can share my creativity. I love it.
You often hear that you are what you eat. Does it also matter when and where we eat and who we eat with? Next, we'll look at eating implications, a segment from the Prairie Public and North Dakota Humanities Council project, Key Ingredients.
The sitting down and eating together is as important to the health as the food itself.
From a spiritual understanding of our relationship with food, we have to first recognize that the fundamental understanding of what constitutes family is who do you eat with. So from a spiritual respect, the understanding of how we are family, how we are community, comes through food. We say grace, or we give thanksgiving to God 3 times a day for our daily food. And so it's at our very base relationship with God, being the food provider, the ultimate provider of our life, that what sustains us in life. The connection is strong.
We need to say thank you at the table for our food and what the earth has provided us. There is a system in place. You know, we come to the earth and we leave the earth at a certain time, and the decisions we make in between those dates is really important. And food, we make food decisions at a minimum 3 to 5 times a day.
Hey, come here, there's a whole bunch right here, see?
Food and the gift of food has been extremely important to us as people. You know, we grew up in a really poor household, financially wise. We had no money, but we were rich in the fact that we had our gardens. And when people came over, we fed them. And that was the custom in the old days. That's how you show respect for your people. That's how you adopt your relatives as well. The first thing you do is you feed them and you give them gifts. The garden is a huge part of our identity and always has been. Not only our identity, it's part of our spirituality. It's part of who we are as human beings. And so the foods were extremely well respected. The foods were alive. What you can hear from the women of our nation is that they were considered the children. And especially when they start growing up in their gardens, they would consider them the children. They would sing lullabies and they would pray and they would talk. And I can remember my mother doing that when I was a kid. I remember going out there and we were weeding the garden and she would be singing to them and talking to them. And so those were very sacred items for us.
Unfortunately, our modern society has broken down that relationship. Families don't eat together as they used to. Fast food and convenience food has replaced that relationship that we've had in dining together, in spending time together, where the dining room table is a time when we reconstitute the family.
We are a nation of overfed and undernourished people. Very undernourished, eating large quantities of factory or science-made food. If we're going to change, everybody talks about obesity. It's not an obesity issue, epidemic. It's an epidemic of not having food traditions in our home. It's an epidemic of not eating smart and not moving more.
The food system needs to be a just system because it is very fundamental to the survival of humanity. And we're not creating that justice. When someplace between 800 and a little over 1 billion people go hungry every night, it tells us that our food system does not serve humanity.
My message is always that food is more than something to eat. Food impacts all of the components of our being, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And if we want a strong society, a strong community, our public health message is plan your food, sit together, thank someone for the food, and use it as an opportunity to connect and bond with the people you care about.
The group Chrome consists of cousins who love performing almost any genre of music, rock, blues, folk, and many more. Over the last 20 years, their original music has addressed everyday life issues and personal reflections.
stop, you need to think. Even when you've had way too much to drink, and every day I'm feeling so tired, and my life, it's passing me by. The weatherman talks about change, and I can't even get her to remember my name. And every day I'm feeling so low, and my life, it's passing me by. But you need to stop for a while and just talk for a while, 'cause my mind's not yet made. Need to stop for a drink and take some time and think, 'cause feelings tend to change. This road is heading somewhere, and where it goes, I guess I don't even care. Thought I'd fallen in love, and my life had just begun. But you need to stop for a while and just talk for a while, 'cause my mind's not yet made. I need to stop for a drink and take some time to think, 'cause feelings tend to change. Feelings tend to change. Feelings tend to change.
If you know of an artist, a topic, or an organization in our region that you think might make for an interesting segment, please contact us at prairiemosaic@prairiepublic.org.
You can watch this and other episodes of Prairie Mosaic on Prairie Public's YouTube channel, as well as follow Prairie Public on social media. I'm Bob Dambach.
And I'm Barb Gravel. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Prairie Mosaic.
Prairie Mosaic is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund with money from the vote of the people of Minnesota on November 4th, 2008, the North Dakota Council on the Arts, and by the members of Prairie Public.